Hi, this is Eric Bixa with Advanced Nutrients, and welcome to episode 40 of Hydroponic Secrets, and thanks for joining me today. In this week's episode, we're going to answer another viewer question here on the show, and for participating, they're going to receive a free gift directly from Advanced Nutrients. Stay tuned at the end of the show when the music's playing to get details as to how you can participate and get a free gift directly from Advanced Nutrients. Now, on to our question. It reads as follows. Hi, Eric. I have a question concerning the sequence of adding products into a fresh batch of nutrients. Let's take the Sensi 2-Part Plus program as an example. I know to add the base nutrient Part A into the res and stir to dilute. Next, adding Part B in order to avoid having the two base components react together. My question is, does the sequence that the supplements and beneficials are added to the reservoir make a difference? Will any of the components respond or mix better by being added before or after others? Thanks a lot for the show. I appreciate the analytical way you approach plant problem diagnostics and the advice you offer. Thanks, and keep up the good work. All right, well, thanks again for your email, and it's a very good question. First, I'm going to start by explaining why the base nutrients are often added in a certain order. In the case of Sensi A and B, which is a 2-part nutrient, we are adding the A first because it contains the highest levels of concentrated calcium in the formulation. Calcium in concentrated form does not get along with phosphates and sulfates. This is why nutrients are separated out into usually at least 2 components. However, once the calcium is diluted into the water, it is far less reactive and it's safe to add the phosphates and sulfates, which would be in the Part B in this example. In the case of the 3-part, the micro formulation contains the highest levels of calcium and is typically added to the reservoir first. Once diluted, you can proceed by adding the grow and bloom. Now, in terms of other nutrients and supplements and beneficials, to be quite honest with you, this is a new area. I don't have a lot of hands-on in terms of which order to put them in. This is something that certainly deserves experimentation, and you've tickled my interest, and it's something I'm going to practice. But for time being, what I can tell you is this, is you're better off to add the components that are more difficult to dissolve or that will contain higher levels of parts per million. For example, adding Big Bud powder might be the next logical component to add. Big Bud powder dissolves relatively easy, but it does require a little bit of agitation, and in the peak flowering phase, it's one of the nutrients and supplements that you want to have in slightly higher levels. For example, between 3 and perhaps even 500 parts per million. So this one would be good to add first, because remember, as you begin to add more components to your nutrient solution, the ability of the water, or solvent in this case, to hold other solutes, which are nutrients, additives, and beneficials, diminishes. So the more difficult to dissolve stuff, or the stuff that's going to be used in higher concentrations, should be added first. Now, there may be some benefits to adding different beneficials or supplements in specific orders, but as I said, this definitely deserves experimentation. Nutrient additives and components that have relatively no dissolved solids reading, for example, something like carbo load, you could add more towards the end. I hope this has helped answer your question, and for all other viewers out there, if you have any input on this particular question, would love to hear from you about it in terms of anything you've noticed with success or issues in adding certain nutrient additives and components in a particular order. For other tips and tricks, please feel free to visit the link at the bottom of the screen. That's at www.advancednutrients.com/newsletter. To the email of your choice, you're going to be delivered some excellent tips and tricks that are going to help you get bigger and better yields. Once again, with Advanced Nutrients, this is Eric Bixa in episode 40 of Hydroponic Secrets. Thanks for joining me, and see you here next time.